Now you can't see, anyway, this is race leg 1 of our 3 race down the Bay Clinic. But you can see the leech hook. Okay, so I can tell the black and yellow spinnaker is an older spinnaker than the other spinnaker. The other spinnaker looks a little tiny bit less hooked. But that hook causes the main to luff, which then, so now we're going upwind with the spinnaker. But this would be an indicator of lower your pole. If you lower the pole and even out the clues, the leech will open up. Obviously, this is the highest we would ever go with a spinnaker, but you can see how poorly designed spinnakers are for reaching. So right now, if we were going to do reaching, let's say we're going to do a normal reach in a Perry race or a Nationals race or whatever, we would lower the pole here. And his pole is quite low already. So Effie's already got his pole already set level. So his pole's actually down a fraction. So there's not much more he can do. You don't really want to go lower than that. But you have to remember, if you put the tack of the spinnaker higher than the clue, you put the tack of the spinnaker lower than the clue, so the green one lower than the red one, that will allow the leech to twist off. It's just like the mainsail. See how the clue is higher than the tack of the mainsail? So it causes more twist. On our way to Coronado. Gonna be there by 2:30, I'm guessing. Leg 2 from near buoy 17 to buoy 22. So 22 is a red channel buoy. Now, these guys would not want their pole any higher. And the reason is because you're gonna see the clue, the red one, is lower than the tack or almost even, and the leech is hooked. It's not that they're doing anything wrong, that's the design of the spinnaker mostly. But you can see if they were to lower the pole, it would probably help a little bit by getting the red one a little bit more even. So this is a 3-mile leg. Leg 1 took them less than 16 minutes, so we'll have to see who guessed the closest on that leg. This leg should take them, 3 miles should take them more like 40 minutes. We'll see. In our predicted navigation, they were told that they would have 0.3 knots of current going the other direction. It's supposed to be low tide at 12:37. It's just noon. So it has already switched here. Interesting. So that means that we are gonna, again, probably finish faster than predicted. We'll just have to see. Uh-oh, these guys got parked. The good news is with that current moving at 0.1 knots, at least it's not going the other way. So we're being helped by the current. It looks like Owen Fretwell decided to go inside North Island side, which would have less current. He's inside the current line. You can see the current line running right down the bay there. So he's inside that. That water maybe is going in faster than where we are now. So it probably switched first on the inside of the curve of the bay here. So he actually probably has a little more than 0.1 in there. Cool. Yeah, going in. So that's good. So now we're looking at Ben. And I think we're crossing him now, or it's very close. Look at the trees. You see how the land is changing. Now, if I get on a collision course with him, you'll see the land behind him, those apartment buildings, those trees, right to the edge of his spinnaker, they stay the same. I'm on a collision course right now. Okay, now, if I'm going like this, watch the land. I'm making trees here. I'm making land, then I'm ahead of him. Okay, so that's how we're judging. And then Ben jibed. I think it was a good leg too. We'll check the current, but This is very common in 420.
But just in case, I'm going to pull him forward a little bit, so we're a little bit ahead of the curve there.
So we gotta carefully, it's not hard to see the mainsail from there, but every time we trim the kite in, or if our jib is too tight, it makes the main luff, we over trim. I think he's under trim, so look right by the mast and see if you see it luff at all. Just in front of the sea there. It's just soft. It's not luffing, it's just a tiny bit soft. So if I was him, it's close. I'd have the main in just a fraction more. It's a very subtle luff, but it creates a lot of power if you can just get that luff out of there. What happens to bad teams is the spinnaker trimmer over trims and then holds the sheet. And that causes the main to luff. So then the skipper pulls the main in. And then they leave the main in that spot. And so they're over trimmed for the next however long it takes them to like get them. Well, this was exciting. That's the Carl Vinson, a nuclear aircraft carrier, and they just opened up the gate, man. That thing's about to head out. We love these orange tugboats. These are the boats we surf behind. They go down the bay really fast, make big monster waves, and we surf them. Super fun. But yeah, I think he's just pushed off the dock just now as we speak. Holy criminy. And we got all these 420s just passed, barely passed. Okay, this is a current line right here. You can see some tree branches, a lot of sloppy water, a little bit of trash. Current line that goes straight down this way. So the water, theoretically, the water to the left should be going in faster than the water on the right. This is the channel over here, deeper water there. So the current is less on this buoy than it was on the last one we looked at. So it is not switched entirely here. It's just switching. It switched first at the top of the bay. Okay, here they come. And we'll see who predicted this is gonna be the finish line right here. Who predicted the closest time for leg 2. Then leg 3, hopefully the wind builds a little bit more. Finally, it's up to 6 knots, 5. We're gonna finish at the Coronado Bridge between the center span and the one to the right of it. And we'll finish there. And they predicted how long, how many minutes it would take them. That's 2 miles from here, almost exactly. Leg 3, leg 3. Started right here, current's trickling in, and the wind is up to 7 knots. We predicted 2 to 8 knots for our, and this is northwest, barely, probably 290 on the compass. So we're barely north of west, which we predicted. We thought the current would still be going out at this point, and that was a bad miscalculation, because if low tide's at 12:30 and it's now 1:30, that would have not made sense. So that's why we're doing predicted navigation, so that we can start to learn this stuff. Okay, what a good start here. Interestingly, they have finished in the exact same order. Race 2 actually was quite tight for the back 4, but they finished in the exact same order both races. So we're hoping that now we're going to see a little mix-up of the results. We sit right next to the shroud as the crew. We don't want the stern to drag on these pigs. And we hold the main sheet 1 to 1 like that with 2 parts. It's basically 1 to 1, just straight from the boom. Okay, we got a race on our hands. She is ahead and out. Well, we got a race on our hands. So the team that won the first 2 races and the team that got second in the first 2 races are duking it out here. And the thing is that if Zero could get first, which is unlikely right now, considering it looks like these guys are pretty sweet over here. But I think he's just gonna have some fun with this race. Try to push Owen to 4th. and then somehow come back and win the race at the end. Which you would not do in a real regatta, probably, because the chances of Owen getting anything out of the top 4 are so slim. We're hoping his mass falls over the side and we think we're gonna beat him. But anyway, this is a clinic, we're having fun. This pole could go up actually. You can see the windward edge of the spinnaker is kind of being tugged down a little in the pumps. The spinnaker's too close to the boat, so you wanna probably have it flying out a little bit more like that. They're just kind of sucked down into the boat a little bit, so they could raise the pole and maybe ease the pole and the boat. But we got a race on our hands. Now on the pole, what you do is if the spinnaker's easy to fly, you raise the pole up a little. And if the spinnaker's hard to fly, you lower the pole down a little from your base setting. Oh my goodness. Do you remember the last video that showed almost no current in the middle? Look at this. Oh wow. Oh wow, these guys are just getting slungshot on the river over here. So the current over here inside has already changed dramatically. It's not going as fast out there past this current line. So these guys have more current than them. I'm gonna go check that too, I think. So I'm sure there's somebody who's super smart here could do the math, but it's already gone 1 boat length in 10 seconds. Okay, and the problem with that red nun buoy is it demarcates a hazard. and if we were in a keelboat right now, a couple of us would be hitting something very hard. There's an old dock in there actually. I've seen boats actually sitting on top of the old cement pier that's inside there. So that's what that nun buoy, that little red nun cone buoy here. But they're trucking. Look at how fast these guys are going. Okay, and but yeah, in seamanship, we wouldn't want to pass that far inside of a red buoy if we were in a bigger boat. Oh my goodness. So look how far this has gone in 1 minute. This has gone 5 boat lengths in 1 minute. So if we're going to start an upwind race right now, we'd have to bank that into our starting strategy. That's plenty of pressure. The race for first place in the regatta. If the wind shifts from Mexico, the red spinnaker wins this race. If the wind shifts from the west behind us, then these guys win the race because they'll be able to jibe. And the current is just sucking us into the bay right now. It's kind of hard to tell. I bet you they don't even know it. But you're gonna see the water swirling on this dock. You can see I'm barely moving right now in the power boat, but I am getting here quickly. Yeah, so you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely coming in over here. This is where I grew up playing Little League Baseball. Senior field right there. Minor field was over there where those ugly buildings are over there. These guys are sailing great, Carlin and Liam, I guess. And there's a current line there. The question is the current stronger outside that line or inside? I think it's now outside that streak, okay? And then I'm gonna come over here to this buoy and we'll take a look, but I think the water's going, I don't know if you can see it, the wave coming off the thing, but the current out here is going good. I just grew up here, so I know, you know, how we used to sail up the bay in keel boats and all this stuff. We'd come out the day before and we would read the buoys the day before, like New Year's Day race or a Coronado Yacht Club race. We'd come out and read the buoys and calculate it a little, try to figure it out. Look how strong that is, man. Yeah, baby. So that's just cranking. They should be able to see that from here. They should be able to see that from there. They should be able to see this. So that looks like the buoy's being dragged up there. We're in the river right now. We're going with it. They should be able to see that from over there, and they should be kind of pressing this way because it is dramatically stronger. Oop. Having fun here. Got a race on our hands. Now let's just see if they listened, right? And they know that we're finishing right there. You can talk to kids all day long, and if the ears don't work, they come by you and they say, oh, I didn't know where the finish line was. And I say, well, I announced it very loudly about 13 times. Thing takes up about more than about a third of the bay. Good boat to book a party on right there. That guy knows his stuff. All the employees are awesome. The food's always awesome. It's always expensive to go on boats like that, but get like 40 friends together. They each pay $100 or something, maybe. Got a race going on over here. It does look like they do remember, unless Ryan told them, they do remember that they're finishing right here. Okay, they're about to finish. Looks like it took them, I'm not even sure, I think 25 minutes or so. I'm not really sure. Anyway, gotta go. Adventure sailing. Super tight reach. We have to be able to do this. You got to be able to super tight reach. Yeah, so they look good. Everything went good yesterday. Today should be better. All right, day 2 of our SDAYC 420 clinic, getting ready for next weekend's Dave Perry Regatta. Here is SEAL Team Base number 1. That's where when you're a SEAL teamer, this is where you come for your first, not deployment, but your first training, week. So we got, what, 5 boats again today. Sunday is gonna be a little more wind, and we have a little race out here. We're about to go out and do 2 races out here, prepping for next weekend's Dave Perry Regatta. We're gonna have 56 boats here next weekend, and it could be anything. It could be light, it could be breezy. South Bay in San Diego is one of the best venues around. I would probably say Long Beach, Inner Harbor, and inside the breakwater, and South Bay, and San Francisco, maybe Santa Barbara. That's unbelievable places to race. San Pedro, but look at that. I grew up just to the right down there in Silver Strand Housing. So our goals for today are, one really important one is no bailer, no sailor. You absolutely need to have a bailer in any small boat you go in. So you don't leave the dock. You don't go sailing without bailers. So you got to do that. Kelp checks. Yesterday some people sailed with kelp and need to be more on top of the kelp checks. We talked about this morning our pre-race routine. So we're going to go out and do 2 races, and I'm hoping they do their pre-race routine, or at least what we talked about, which was rabbit starts. I want them to get out here and do a couple rabbit starts. We talked about the importance of next week being on time. So at 11:55, you're at the race committee boat for the 12 noon warning. Cannot be at the windward mark at 11:55 and go, uh-oh, you know, we gotta always be smart. Sometimes young people forget what time it is because they have people tell them what time it is all the time. So I'm not chasing you down. If you're at the windward mark at 11:55, you're gonna get a DNS. You did not start for that race. So anyway, be on time next week. We talked about doing rabbit starts out here, getting the twist right. Today it's gonna be 6 to 11 knots, 5 to 11, I hope 12. And so you've got to have very solid leach of the jib and solid leach of the main. You can't have your jib outside the spreader tip, depending on your weight, until you start to get overpowered. So we're very likely, we don't want the jib twisted off too much. We got to make sure we know the twist in the jib. Carefully look at the twist of the main. The golden rule on these boats is if you can hook the mainsail too much, then your traveler is too tight. You should only be able to hook the leach a tiny bit on these boats. It's not a boat where we sail with a lot of leach tension on the mainsails. Like, let's say an FJ, where we really pull the main sheet quite hard to where our hand hurts. We talked about going close hauled in the middle of the line. So when I set the starting line, I want to see if they do it, but we go off the line a few times before the race. So we go off the middle of the line, close hauled, on starboard, and do 3 or 4 of those. Because when we come off the line of the race, we have to know what phase the wind is usually right away. Sometimes it's just a sprint off the line. Sometimes if you sail a header for a while, you might not know it. You don't really know the angles. You got to do that. On most boats, we use a compass to help us with it. So come off the middle of the line 3 or 4 times before every race, see where you're headed on the shore, point yourself, and then do that 3 or 4 times. You'll notice you're rarely heading it at the exact same spot, and that indicates wind shifts. Okay, then we got to check the starting line. Head to wind check. You go head to wind at the end, and then you visualize, is the other end perpendicular to my angle, to my head to wind angle. And the other method is the reaching method, reaching up and down the starting line and trying to figure out which end is more upwind that way. So there you go. That's our goals for today. Do 2 races, do some drills, focus on those things, and then head in. Out here, got the rabbit starts going. Very few people went upwind off the line before the race, and it's a perfect time to do it. Look at all these landmarks we have right up here upwind of us. So, you know, basically we're going upwind of the line, and we're saying if we're coming off the line headed into Coronado Shores, we're going to stay on starboard, which is what we were. Now they've been pushed down. They're getting pushed off to the left of the triangle roof over there. And so, you know, then we know the wind shifts here. Helps us get in phase right away. Again, we use a compass to do this on most boats at this age. You get one person to tell you, oh, you don't need a compass, and that kid will just eat that right up. These guys look great, man. Jib is right at the spreader tip. There's a little windward sheet on, but they're overpowered, right? They're 150 pounds together. And these guys switch off positions, which is really cool. I probably would have gone a little further, considering these are kind of like sabots, although there's the mark there. So this wasn't too bad. Looks like a big lefty, unfortunately. It looks like windier. See how it's looked lighter right where we are, and then you look up there, it looks windier and left over there. I purposely put us in the cone of the amphib base. So off of this point here, off the Navy amphibious base, you get a cone here where you get a left wind from over there, and you kind of get right wind from over here, and in the middle here is a kind of a cone area of lighter wind. People freak out when they get in it. They start steering all over and panicking and maybe tacking if they get a little header in it. And the water backs up here too. I don't know if you can see that current line. But that current line that's horizontal to us right now, or perpendicular to us, that current line shows where the shoal is. So the water is hitting there against much shallower water. We're going from 13 feet to 4 feet, 5 feet. And so the water's swirling over here too. And it makes the boat feel worse, so people start kind of panicking. So this upwind, this is gonna be an interesting reach now. We're doing a trapezoid course. I set it by myself. I don't have anybody else out here, so I think it's gonna be too tight. Now that we've got a left wind shift, you would be thinking, uh-oh, am I gonna be able to fly a kite on the first reach? It's probably too tight. So what I think Owen will do here is he will sail high after the mark and then put the kite up. Let's see what they do. Current is coming in right now. So they're moving right to left. They're getting moved right to left. And so it's better to kind of stay on starboard there and go that way a while. Starboard's still closer to the mark. So the current over here wasn't backing up. It's rolling off the leeward, the down current side of the shoal. So it is still swirling a little. But the current is going on right to left. Wow, look at Ben. Ben's got new sails. Everybody else got old sails. That's part of it, but you can tell those sails are so weak. That is just, the look of the sail is perfect. I think Owen's got him easy. Now we'll see if they're going to fly a kite. I don't see W2 yet. And I'm going to guess where it is. Okay, they went for it. So again, in a lefty, you're a little cautious on setting the kite. Nice set. That was the hairball set. Ben didn't come down at all. He just went straight onto the reach. Oh, there's the mark. It's going to be to the right of that cruiser sailboat a little ways. Great. So now they go W2 down to L2, back up to W2, down to L2, and then they shoot a reach over to the finish. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys have help. Zero. Because they're sailing outstanding and they walk along. These guys look good. You can see the curl and the luff of the spinnaker, so he could go full higher. That spinnaker looks more round with full higher. See that? I don't know if you can tell the difference between the luff of that kite and the luff of that kite. That's just the, and that's the heavier setting. Like he's set up for like 15 to 18. And these guys are set up where they could even go a little higher. So these guys could all go a little higher. And I do suggest having the pull off the head stay 2 or 3 inches. Race 2, first windward mark. So we came out today to do 2 races. Sometimes you guys just need to do this on your own. Just go out in a small group and just go out and don't hang out and just play or whatever. Come out here and just run a couple races right away like you're at a regatta. It's the old saying, practice like it's a regatta, race a regatta like it's practice. And I didn't even pay attention to those sets, but I think they were pretty good. These guys' pole is quite low. And you can't really see that, but the other guys, you can see Fenton Spinnaker's flying quite high. He needs a bigger curl. The crew should sit next to the shrouds. Rakes the mast forward too. Gets the stern out of the water. He needs pressure, Cam. Right there. Okay, very light. We'll be doing trapezoids next week. And that's the standard course for like North Americans and nationals and all these things that you guys will be doing. So there we go. Race 2, first leeward. Now we're starting to wake up again. It does take a lot of kids a couple races just to stop making mistakes. and we're just having a super tight race now. It happened yesterday too. The first race we had a big spread, second race we were a little closer. Third race we finished, 4 boats finished within 6 seconds of each other on a 3-mile race. We have to be in race 3 form in race 1 and 2. Okay, we're done racing for today. I think we did really good. We got several lists of things. One thing we got to do is we got to visualize these reaches. We got to make sure we can visualize the pole height. The pole should never be below, pretty much never below perpendicular to the mast. But on reaches, we don't want it above perpendicular to the mast, especially if it's a tight reach. So you got to have your topping lift settings nailed. These all look pretty good though.
Well, if someone asks me about the cars and I say no,
Doing follow the leader now, reaching practice. The one thing you have to remember about 420s, especially if you're going to travel, is that you're going to go on reaches. You can gain 20 boat lengths on a reach, whereas upwind, if you were, gaining 3 boat lengths is a lot, 5 boat lengths is a lot. On reaches, easily gaining 20 boat lengths on people. Very good, you guys. We gotta visualize this angle where the pole is. Your pole should be off the headstay about 2 inches. And there we go. I'm gonna heat it up with a little here. Okay, that's fun. Sides. See if they rotate the spinnaker around to the right side. You got to visualize the whole thing. The wind is going to be on your left side, so you've got to have the spinnaker to the right. It's like every other sail. It's just a little harder until you hear it. See how the black and yellow spinnaker's already to the... So you are essentially keeping the spinnaker perpendicular to the wind, kind of. See how they guys have it way to the right? Yeah. Yeah. Poor guy right here, Fenn, got the boom on the head bad before the first race. But they're doing good. I was hoping to soak down and help them. Now I'm going to go heat it up here. The wind is coming really nice right here. Up a little here. Pretty nice out here.